Code Volume 7. Again, as a black man in America, you will be required to show your gangster and your gentleman. The challenge in that is knowing when to show what and at what times, and what's the ratio of you showing gangster versus gentleman. It should be far more gentleman than gangster. It's just a fact. All right, Volume 7, learning how to relate to women. This is an important one because a lot of young men are raised in households with only women. Their angle on it and their perspective is a little bit skewed because they have more feminine type of thinking than they need to have, especially young boys. When you're a young adolescent black man, the way that you speak to your peers that are girls has to be different than the way you speak to your peer men. And often we allow it to be mixed at whatever age. I don't really allow that in my house and with my kids. Isaiah and Roman know that indigo is different, and that indigo is going to be treated different. Now, women's equality and all that, I'm not prepared to speak on that. I'm not the best like advocate of it. Like I'm just not. So I would never enter into those talks. But what I will say is that in how men treat women, it should not be equal. Like, you should treat a woman differently than you treat a man. So like, I can speak to some dude and we throwing F-bombs or whatever. I'm not necessarily going to do that with a woman with the same amount of time known. Like, I'm just not going to do that. I feel like there's a different level of interaction and respect you should have. As young men, oftentimes you'll see 4 boys, 2 girls. The boys are cracking on the girls, making jokes or whatever. I don't really like that. So if I'm in that group, I'm gonna be like, yo, let's crack on each other, but don't crack on her. Like that's not what's supposed to happen. Because we all know that sometimes when people start to cracking, it get physical. So don't start that with no girl, because that should never be on the table. And that's why I think a lot of times men get physical with women. They get confused in their head about what that other person is, just because of the nature of the interaction. And you'll be like, well, what if she's cracking on you? Don't say nothing. Who cares? Like, she go on all day, whatever. At some point, I'll walk away, and they be like, well, you soft, whatever. Yeah, I'm soft. What? You want to fight? Like, what do we talk about? Like, so you have to have control of your ego and control of your emotions enough to say, my interaction with a woman have to be different than they are with a man. And that is one of the, if I could give young adolescent black men one single tip for relationship advice at this age, is make sure you know there's a difference between how you speak with a woman and how you speak with a man. That's the one thing I would say. Now, the other thing that's occurring at this age as an adolescent young black man is that you're learning how to speak with women, period. Older women, your peers, younger, a little bit older. So you need to take in data on all those levels and see how people are reacting to things. And you should also be a gatherer of information from women. So I always think this is that most young men should have a group of women that they have known since they were 8 years old, that they can trust to help them kind of work their way through dating life. Not that you're going to date them, but they'll give you advice on how you date people and how you treat women and all that stuff. Hopefully your dad's helping you too, but there isn't anything like having a small group of women, girls in this case, that can help you along as you're 13, 12, whatever, and kind of give you sound advice about, yo, that's not cool to do that. Yo, you should, if you don't want to date one girl, just say it. Most of the time we can accept that, or we don't accept that, but we respect that you said it. These are little tidbits that you have to learn as a young adolescent black male, And that's why a lot of times kids get goofy, because they don't know how to be like direct with a woman and a girl their age, and just be truthful and be direct about who you are, about the things you want, about what you're gonna do, what you're not gonna do. If you can learn that trait of just being direct with a woman, it's gold. Because the majority of times women don't know what they exactly want out of you until they see it and they're like, I don't want that. So you need to be direct in everything that you are, so that they can be more comfortable with, oh, that's who he is, I get it, you know, I'm fine with it. But there's a lot that goes into that, and I just, you know, sprinkle a few things. But the biggest thing is you got to know to treat them differently, and 2, be direct. G Code Volume 7, Learning to Deal with Women.